I think you do a great job because you're very educated in the field. So I think that'd be a real asset for them. So we'll probably put your name in, and then they elect people. All the schools vote. Everybody knows you. Okay, fellas and ladies and gentlemen, it's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
The mission of Marshall Public Schools is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Tiger Spotlight, I would like to welcome Aaron Zimmer, newly elected, and Sarah Runchi. Welcome. And I'll turn the meeting over to our Vice Chair.
And I'm going to do the oath of office, but we're going to do it down in front. So, how do you want to do this? Do you want me to hit the microphone or? Okay. Why don't you guys stand over there? Sarah?
In front of it.
Like this?
Like so?
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to read a bunch of stuff and then I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. So, it is an honor that you are elected to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous responsibility as a director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. This power puts you and the other members of our school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education of every student in the district. In carrying out this responsibility, you will be asked to fulfill the roles of vision, structure, accountability, and advocacy. In providing vision, the board, with extensive participation of the community, envisions the community education future and then formulates the goals, defines the outcomes, and sets the course for the public schools. To achieve the vision, the board establishes a structure and creates an environment designed to ensure all students the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. Because as a board, we must be accountable to the community. We must ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children. As board members, we serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision for our schools. Furthermore, we must strive to work together and with the superintendent and staff to lead the district toward fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills and knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Having signed the acceptance of office and oath of office, will you please publicly affirm your commitment by repeating the oath of office after me? I swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state.
I swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States and
of this state.
And that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member.
And that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of school board member.
Of Independent School number 413 to the best of my judgment and ability.
Independent School District number 413 to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations. Good thing that was up there. Congratulations. Congratulations.
I have the 3 mistakes. Oh.
Why do I always look so short?
Right.
One more, one more.
Oh, sorry.
That's our winter home, they say. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's fun.
Remember the first time you pricked my finger and I had to put a blood stamp on there?
I don't know.
Do I need to sign that, or is Jeff going to sign them?
You can sign it. Yes. لبني كتبية.
Thank you.
ما هي خاص وجوزك كان هذا مين بيكتب
جوزت
خاص ولا ستة
بيها أنا أربعة.
لا وبيه ميك اللي بيكتب أنا أروح
دنان واي مثلا زائد وأهل ويجيبوا
شيبسون
كوكي مثلا زائد.
Second time in about 3 months.
Okay, moving on to approve the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, please vote. And it is approved. Moving on to our nominations. Nominations for board chair. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Jeff Chapman.
I'll second.
Do we have any other nominations? And for the third time, do we have any other nominations? Hearing none. Please vote.
There you go.
Geez, Sarah, I gotta be real careful I don't hit the wrong buttons, because then I have to get Trish over here, and I'd go to remedial computer
Here are
class.
matches for Rocky, Rocky.
I don't know, it's on silent.
It's on sound, there we go. All right. Moving on.
That didn't take long, Joe.
No, it didn't.
First meeting of the year.
Yeah, there you go. Got it out of the way. Looking for nominations for vice chair. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Matt Coleman.
I'll second that. Do we have any other nominations? And for the third time, do we have any nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Please vote.
Oops. I voted wrong.
And it is approved.
I hit the wrong button. That's all right.
Okay, moving on for nominations for school board clerk. Do we have any nominations for school board clerk?
I'd like to nominate Bill Molso.
Do we have a second on that?
Second that.
Any other nominations for school clerk? And for the last time, do we have any nominations for school clerk? Hearing none, please vote. I'm sorry, there we go. And it is approved. Moving on to our action items.
Nope, we got one
Nope,
more
we got
on
one
this.
more, okay. Nominations for school board treasurer. Do we have any nominations?
I'll nominate Aaron Zemer.
Okay, I'll second that. Do we have any other nominations? And one more time, do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Please vote. And it is approved. Moving on to our board committees. They are listed. Did we have a motion to approve? I'll make a motion to approve them. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's open for discussion. Everybody okay?
Replacement for Karen Von Kullen and planning. Facilities, construction and planning development.
When you say replacement, Bill, do you mean leave everyone else the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm open to replacing Dion on the performance oversight and finance and the emergency preparedness and safety.
And our facilities?
Sure. Yep, and I would be happy to take Karen's and others if there's people interested. I kind of feel like it's the House of Representatives, right? The most junior person who does whatever they're told.
Get what's left.
That's fine by me.
Isn't Karen also the board rep on the foundation, Pride in the Tiger Foundation?
Yes. What have we done with that before, Tricia? Do you remember?
Put that on.
It generally meets Wednesday noon, once a month or every other month.
Yeah.
For an hour.
And what else was Karen? She's on calendar committee.
It's on the calendar
Yeah.
committee.
I can do it here. I've been on.
Calendar committee too? They meet calendar committee to set school calendar? Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Just so you know, you want to make everybody happy on that one.
That's
So.
okay.
And I'm willing to continue to serve on the committees that I was on, performance oversight, finance, continuous improvement, the families project, and staff development committees.
Excellent. So is everybody happy? Okay, very good. I'll call for a vote. You took all those notes, Trish? Thank you.
Back in there.
And it's approved. Approval to set Board of Directors compensation. And I'll second that. It's open for discussion now. Want to keep them the same?
One thing I'd say, and you're certainly able to do whatever you'd like, but we believe it's been over 10 years since you've changed them, so.
18.
There you go.
You want to bring them up 25, or you want to leave them the same, or?
I would like to see an increase for the chairperson.
No.
Because of the extra meetings that the chair does.
You won't get a second on that, so that's a dead.
Okay.
Okay, with this, I guess the motion is leave them the same. Do we have a second? Leave them the same? Is that the consensus? Boy, it's quiet in here.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's vote on keeping them. We'll keep them the same.
Gotta say.
We'll vote on that.
Stay the same.
There you go, it's passed. Moving on to our personnel, do we have a motion? Motion to open it up, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's vote. It is approved. Authorization to proceed with facilities and referendum planning. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's open for discussion.
I would just like to point out again that I think our background studies and so forth that directed by Mr. Munson have been very thorough. I think our public has been very much informed. and it's now time for us as board members to roll up our sleeves and talk to our community as we're out there with regard to the need of replacing West Side with a new facility. I'm pleased. I'm pleased that we're moving forward with that, having been at West Side as principal and knowing that it's a dilapidating facility, and there's a safety issue with regard to traffic in the area, and we all have seen that. It's overloaded. Class size is overloaded. There's no more space left to go anywhere. And I'm just pleased with the fact that we're putting it in front of the people again. And we need to help them understand the need. And I hope when we ask the public to come and take a look, that they come and take a look. So thank you, Mr. Munson, for your leadership with that.
Any other comments? All right, we'll vote, please. It is approved. Moving on to our consent agenda. Motion. Okay. Do we have a second? I'll make a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Please vote. It is approved. You didn't make a mistake now, did you? I thought she did. Okay, moving on to our presentation, on to the college. Mr. Jones, it's always a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you. I added a couple of additional, Tricia did for me, a couple of additional pieces of information for you that were PDFs that you can access on your own, and those just really talk about the cost associated with post-secondary education in today's world. And so what I want to talk to you about is a program that we began using last year at Marshall High School called On to College with John Baylor. And Amran is going to be very familiar with Mr. Baylor. But I just want to take you through and let you know a little bit about what the program is, how we funded it, why we are using it, and talk about some of the results that we've seen with it. So if you have questions anytime, please just make sure that you ask. And so the mission of On to College is to create 2- and 4-year graduates with minimal debt. And that certainly aligns with what we're trying to do at the high school in terms of helping our students understand the importance of obtaining some form of education beyond their high school degree, whether that be a certificate program, a 2-year program, or a 4-year degree. And so On to College is I call it a comprehensive program. It's a supplemental program, but comprehensive in its approach, in that it offers ACT, SAT, pre-ACT. So the pre-ACT is what we give our sophomore students, and then the ACT is a required state test that students take as a junior. But it also provides general study skills, has a lot of information on the college selection process in terms of videos, manuals, materials, information to share with parents. And so it does a lot of test prep. And the idea is that everyone benefits from improving on test-taking skills in all professions, not just as they prepare to move on after high school. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but really we can differentiate. We use it primarily for ACT preparation, but we can differentiate, and there's a couple of different classes that we have our students take depending on how they scored their sophomore year on that pre-ACT. It's not exclusively for the highly motivated or parents who can afford to pay for ACT prep. And ACT preparation programs are, some are free, but students have to be highly motivated to complete those, and then some are expensive. And we know that some families have enlisted the services of ACT preparation services to try to help their children score higher. And so what we've done, we think that's important, and so we've made that available and required of all of our students, and we utilize this in their junior year. So it's not about only improving their test scores, but it also helps our counselors, who we know in Minnesota have the highest student to counselor ratio of any other state in the country. But it helps our counselors help our students find the best fit college at the lowest cost. So it's a web-based program that we've implemented into the school day, and I'll talk about that a little bit. And it's a program that's endorsed by MREA and also through the Southwest West Central Service Cooperative. And as such, we do receive a price break because of our membership in those. So why are we doing this? And we're fortunate with the amount of scholarships that our foundation awards to our seniors, but scholarships often run out after the first year. And so while most of the time with our seniors the focus is on getting to college and getting those year one scholarships, I'm often left wondering what happens to those students in years 2, 3, 4, and sometimes 5. And so what happens when those scholarships run out, we know that those students sometimes have to take fewer classes because of the cost, which in turn increases the time needed to complete those degrees, which means more time spent working in an out of the field job and increased costs. Students transfer those colleges, and at times those credits don't all transfer. And so sometimes our students then have to take a couple of steps back, which again increase the cost of time and in the financial aspect as well. We know students have to take remedial classes when they get to college, and something that a lot of students and families I don't think know is that when you take remedial class, you're paying for those credits, yet you're not receiving them. You're paying for those classes but not receiving that credit. And a higher ACT score allows students to test out of those remedial classes. So for instance, if a student is desiring to go to a two-year schools do not require that students take the ACT, but if they do and they score well enough, then they wouldn't have to take, they would pass needing to take any sort of a remedial course. And so that's a message that we give to our students who are planning to attend a two-year all the time, when they feel like the ACT doesn't matter. Just the opposite. The ACT definitely matters. And then using On to College complements what we're already doing at Marshall High School because we spend time each week with the University of Minnesota product called Ramp Up to Readiness, which is career and college readiness that students start taking during their 9th grade year. And it provides students with the various aspects of what it's going to take to be successful in both a 2-year and a 4-year setting or a certification program. And lastly, my last bullet point is we spend time preparing our students for the MCA exams. Why wouldn't we prepare them, help them prepare for the ACT exam when in fact the ACT exam is the one state test that I would say that our students are highly motivated to perform well on as compared to the MCAs because they know they don't particularly have skin in the game on that one. And so that's a challenge for us, but it hasn't been a challenge getting our students motivated to do well on the ACT. How did we pay for this? Because it's an inexpensive program, relatively speaking. It started back last fall, fall of 17. I pitched the idea to Mr. Monson after pitching that to our site leadership team and then to our faculty. In October, November, I talked with Pride in the Tiger Foundation Executive Director Janelle Wartner about the idea, and just some ideas I was hoping for that we could utilize to pay for that, and that was if there would be consideration given to a reallocation of some of those scholarship dollars, to basically use those on the front end instead of on the back end in awarding a scholarship. So she invited me to come and present to the foundation board, and I did that in December of 2017. Asked them to consider reallocating 8 to 10 scholarships of the $1,000 scholarships in order to help 850 students as opposed to 8 to 10 students. And the cost for the program at that time was about $10 per student per year for On to College, so approximately $8,000 per year. And then in December, Pride and the Tiger announced that they were willing to fund the program for us for 3 years. And at within each year, all they asked for was an update on how it's going. And so I've been working with Janelle to plan for that. The timing couldn't have been better for us. They had recently received some unallocated funds, and therefore didn't have to tap into any of those scholarship dollars, and from a very generous donor, and that's what we were able to use. So they granted us a $25,000 grant to pay for this over the 3 years. So once we had secured the funding, the challenge became, how do we fit this into an already busy school day? And again, we were fortunate in that the timing worked out pretty well. Two big things happened. At that point, we were all 4 grades, we were one-to-one technology, and this is a web-based program, which makes it available to students access anywhere and anytime, whether it be at school or home. And we were able to pick and choose with this program various aspects to use. So it's not just with our juniors, but also with students in grades 9 and 10. And we routinely incorporate some of the aspects of this into our ramp-up program and supplement what we get from the University of Minnesota with that. But grade 11 really is where the bulk of the program is used, and then for seniors, they have that opportunity to use it once they've completed the course in the summer of their senior year as they prepare for the June and July ACT, and then in the fall as the ACT has September and October and December test dates. The other factor that worked well was 1 hour lunch, and 1 hour lunch gives us a lot of flexibility during the school day to do a variety of things. And so we know that students are extremely busy with their school, their studies, their activities, their jobs, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't think it was realistic if we just said, here's this program, now go and use it, that many would, only our most highly motivated. And so we built time in, and so into the school day to require that our juniors used it. So we took 30 minutes of their 1 hour lunch, or as I like to remind them, 30 minutes of our 1 hour lunch, and use it, that it's not theirs. It is a privilege. And so they were great about it last year, and so they dedicated themselves. I believe we had about 50 sessions where starting at the end of January through April, they would go and spend time with their ramp-up advisor and work to complete the On to College program. Outside of school, they had virtually no requirements with this program. Everything was meant to be done in school. They all had binders that they used that they kept track of all of it in, kept it in that class, and it was meant to be occur within the school day. And the only hiccup, well, we had a few hiccups, but the big hiccup was the weather didn't cooperate. And in last April, the statewide test day, we didn't have school because of the snowstorm, along with many others. So we kind of had to revamp our plan, and we lost a little momentum, but we got the students back and were able to test. And we did well. I was happy with what I've seen so far. And so with anything, we need to be looking at the results and is it working. And when I thought about this, I really felt like we can't just look at the data, but we needed to look at some of those areas that I think are challenging to measure. And the first one really is the cultural impact. And what has that been? I think it has worked well in combination with Ramp Up to Readiness, and that it's continued to strengthen our approach and our message to not only our students but to our families, that some form of post-secondary education is needed in a global economy in order to earn a sustainable and a livable wage that will support a family. At the same time, our participation in On to College has helped our students understand that post-secondary education is affordable and there are opportunities. And those opportunities are for everyone, not just for a few. The second area is I think it's helped our students increase with their confidence and their ability to believe that they can be a post-secondary education student. Prior to the pre-ACT, our students have very little opportunities to take a timed exam. In an ACT, our state exams are untimed, our local exams such as NWA that we offer, many of our classroom exams, our teachers are very good at giving students as much time as they need to complete that. But the ACT, it's a fast-paced exam, if you remember when you took it. And so the time for some is a challenge. And so with opportunities to practice, I think that helped increase the confidence of our students. By the time our students will take the ACT exam that we offer during the school day in April, they will have had at least, at minimum, 3 opportunities to take practice ACT exams, 2 of which are in the exact same location that they'll take it on test day. And we know in education that trying to build background knowledge and background experience is how important that is. And so On to College has given us that opportunity to do that for our kids. The financial impact, and I just use an example, and I'll talk you through this. In 2017, we had 20 of our graduates attend SMSU. Those 20 graduates had an average ACT score of nearly a 20. They had a 19.8. And at that time at SMSU, an ACT score would get that person a $500 scholarship. So our 20 graduates times 500 is $10,000 for that group for the first year. That's a renewable scholarship for each of the 4 years if you maintain a healthy grade point average. So assuming that all 20 of those students did and they stayed there, we're really looking at about $40,000 in scholarships for those students over the 4 years with a 20 ACT. If those students raise their ACT score by 2.2 points, and we signed a guarantee with On to College, they say typically you're going to see a 1 to 3 point increase, and we signed a guarantee of a 1.5 point increase, and if our kids didn't make that, they would give us a 50% refund. And so I just took, if they raised it by 2, then now they have an ACT score of a 22. And that's worth at SMSU a $1,250 scholarship. That's renewable for 4 years. So 20 graduates at $1,250 is $25,000 times 4 years, so that's $100,000. And so the annual financial impact is $15,000 a year, or $60,000 over 4 years for a program that costs about $10 per student per year. And so I think the financial impact has been very good, will be very good for our students because it's still early. And some of the data that I'll just share with you. For the class of 2019, so our current seniors, this is still preliminary, but I would say that the early results look promising. From our spring ACT score, when we look at their ACT score that they took as a junior compared to their pre-ACT score that those same kids took as a sophomore. And the pre-ACT is going to give us a predictive ACT score. Okay. We had 14 students decrease, so they actually did worse by a total of 19 points. So a 0.74 decrease per person. 13 students remained the same, 137 students increased their score by an average of 3.88 points. A 463-point gain. And the composite score of the 170 students who had both the pre-ACT as sophomores and the ACT the first time they took, well, not the most of them, it was the first time they ever officially took the ACT. Their average score was a 22.16. And we also had 19 students score above a 30. A perfect score on an ACT is a 36. I'm curious to see what the end results for the class of 2019 look like, because we know that those now seniors have taken the ACT multiple times since that April 2018 test administration. And so we know that these numbers are likely going to increase. If we just compare, we look at the class of 2018, and they did not have this opportunity for on to college. As sophomores, they had a pre-ACT average score of an 18.24. By the end of their high school career, on the final ACT report that I got for the class of 2018, which came in November of this year, of 2018, their average score was a 20.9. So they increased from the time of their sophomore year till the time that it was all said and done by an average of 2.6 points, and we tested 88% of the class. With on to college, we looked at the same factors. So the class of 2019 as sophomores had an average score of 19. Their state score, so of their junior year in April, they had an average of a 21.7, an increase of a 2.7 point increase. And again, we know as they continue to take it that this score is going to increase right here as they take it more times throughout their senior year. But we also tested 94% of the class. So we tested more students and performed better. And so I'm excited about that. We'll be having our On to College kickoff event on Wednesday, January 30th. And we've been able to secure John Baylor to come and present live to our kids. Last year, he presented live via technology from his headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. But he'll be in North Dakota on the Monday and Tuesday of that, or the Monday of that last day in January, and he's going to make his way down to Marshall and present with us before he goes to the state principals conference later that week. And so we've been able to get him, weather of course dependent, but he'll present to our seniors, and then he'll present to our students in grades 9 through 11 with a motivational why to try message. And I just want to extend an invitation if any board members would like to come and sit in on that or meet with him. He's graciously made himself available to us starting at about 8:30. Working with the service co-op, I think we could have some folks from other schools come as well. I know there's a superintendent's meeting that day, so I'm not sure what kind of turnout we'll get, but he wants to meet with Janelle. He's indicated we're a pretty unique way to fund it, and so he wants to share that message. We'll be, like I said, we'll be presenting at the state principals conference. Wants to interview some of our kids to use in some of his material as well. So we think it's been a good opportunity for us and a great opportunity for our students and for our families.
Are you getting much feedback from kids that, I'm just thinking of kids that maybe weren't even thinking about going to post-secondary, and now they're looking at that, or from their parents? Or?
Yeah, I think the ACT can be an eye-opening experience for some. We have one student had a pretty low grade point average, yet had a very high ACT. And so when we had that conversation and just said, you know, what's the correlation? And that student just said, I never thought I was capable. And when they realize, once they've seen that score, the type of opportunities that that presents, the type of scholarship dollars that are out there, because every college, every university has, awards scholarships, and it's based largely upon your ACT. Then they tend to look at your grade point average and then your class rank. But they realize those last two factors are somewhat subjective depending on where you went. And so an ACT score really is an objective measurement piece across schools, across states, to try to predict the aptitude of how a student can be. So I think it has created some opportunities. I think it's created some eye-opening experiences for our students. And don't get me wrong, they don't like giving up 30 minutes of their 1 hour lunch. But I think in the end, they start to see the benefits of it.
Brian, have you seen or have you heard from students who are going into the ACT test now as a junior, as a senior, feeling more confident? Have you heard that directly from them?
Well, I do, Aaron, but that's, I've got a senior at home.
Sure.
And so, that's why I can also say, I know they weren't excited about it. And one of his phrases is, John Baylor's phrase is, raising your ACT score is the best paying job a high school student can have. And so, anytime I start to hear any grumbling, whether it be in the lunchroom or at home, I just say, but remember, raising your ACT score is the best paying job a high school student can ever have, and that kind of puts an end to it. And I don't know, Amran, if you have any thoughts or comments, maybe if you could just talk about how you used the program to prepare.
Well, like he said, I didn't really like giving up my 30 minutes because I did homework during that time, but I mean, I adjusted and I realized I need to do my homework the night before. But that raised because for me, my math was fine, but English and reading was what I struggled with, so it was kind of like I peaked in the math section. And John Baylor, it didn't seem like it was doing much, and then when I went to the ACT score, the ACT exam, my score really did go up a lot. And so that helped. And then I went and I took it again in June, and I kind of went back and looked at it, but I already had I remembered most of it because it had just been a month later. But I did use it again to study for my SAT English section because I took that in August. And I mean, it helped a lot still because we had the English and reading sections there, and a lot of his tips sound kind of weird, but they work. So.
And I would say also that when he's here on January 30th, he's going to teach the first 4 sections to our juniors, which is really helpful because the schedule's really tight this year. And so that's the English passages, and so they'll have that done, then they'll go back in the following days and do, the homework, the online quizzes. They'll view the quiz solutions. There really is a lot, and I would encourage you, if you get a chance to go out to ontocollege.com and take a look at the program. You can buy it individually, and that's one of the ways they market their product. It's expensive, just like same types of programs that everybody else offer. But what I'm most excited about is it's the opportunity to provide it to all of our students and for 4 years. And so it's affecting all 850 of our students, not just those seniors at the end as they're walking out the door for 1 year. So.
Is there a particular time on the 30th that you're looking for board members to come, or is it just throughout the day? Is that what
so we'll start in the morning. I think if I remember right, the schedule, I've got it on my computer, but he'll start with our seniors at about 10, so 9:30 he would be available. You could certainly listen to that presentation that he'll give to the seniors at 10. He'll talk more about, he also does weekly podcasts, and those get sent out. And so as I've listened to those before we purchased the product and now after, he really does have a lot of messages about, again, it's not just getting to college, but it's about staying in college and being successful. And so that's the message he'll share with our seniors. And it's a similar message that our kids hear from us, but we know when you bring in a consultant or an expert 50 miles away, people tend to listen a little better. So he'll share that with them. Then he'll meet with our students in grades 9, 10, and 11 on, he calls it his why to try message, where he'll really lay out the case for the importance of doing your best in high school. We'll dismiss our 9th and 10th graders, our juniors will stay there, and then he'll jump in and start with the very first part of the ACT preparation program and the ACT foundation classes as well. The foundation classes are designed for students to never score below a 20 again on the ACT. And the way we determine that is we use their pre-ACT score as a kind of a point break in making a determination which class to put those students into. And then he'll teach our juniors until about 12:20. Then we'll send them to lunch. So it's taking some flexibility on the part of our teaching staff. I met with our site leadership team this morning to finalize that. I'll roll this out to our staff tomorrow, and you know, without their flexibility, it wouldn't be possible. And I think they're understanding the importance of it and the value of it. So January 23rd, we'll train a new crew of teachers, our 11th grade ramp-up advisors, to administer the On to College program. And we do it both at the high school and at Maytech as well.
Brian, I just would like to say that this is, as we talk about getting kids ready for what's next, getting kids ready to advance their education, this is exactly the type of program that I think we can all be very proud of, and I just wanted to commend you for what you're doing.
Thank you. And you know, this doesn't happen without the foundation that gets laid pre-K through, you know, through 12 either. So and so I feel like it gives our students a competitive advantage, or maybe a more competitive advantage than what they've previously had. And so far, the only part that I wish we had done differently was started sooner. Because I think about class of 2018 and 17 and, you know, all the way back when, and go, boy, I wonder how that could have helped those students too. So.
Nicely done. Now, Ron, how did you like that program?
I mean, like, I didn't like it during it, but after I liked the results, and I definitely would recommend it.
But it made a difference for you?
Yeah, it definitely did.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Public forum, now this is a time for you. Is there anybody in the public that'd like to approach the board? Now is your time. Board reports, anybody have anything they'd like to bring up? Moving on to our discussion items. This is readings for the policies 601 through 606. Did anybody have any questions on any of those? Discussion on Southwest Regional Development Commission member vacancies. We could put somebody's name in for that, and the way I believe it works is that all the school board members vote on that, and I think we have interest in Mr. Swope here to do that. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, very good. Anything else? Board members that would like to bring up, Mr. Munson, thank you. Or Moso, welcome.
Hang on, I'll log in quick. Don't end yet.
Okay, anything else, board members? Welcome, Sarah. Please ask questions.
You're the new clerk, Bill. I just want to let you know.
If you have questions, please get with Trish or Scott or myself. Be happy to help you. I know when I was a new board member, I had lots of questions. And I still do. Meeting's over. Thank you.
I'd like to, after the meeting,